Speaking of MVPs, last night here in New Orleans, we had the NFL honors ceremony, and the Buffalo Bills' Josh Allen, in a surprise, became the first player in 21 seasons to win the MVP award without being selected first team All-Pro. That's what I mean by surprise. Lamar Jackson finished second last night. He actually went home empty-handed because Saquon Barkley was named the Offensive Player of the Year. But again, Lamar Jackson was first team All-Pro, Josh Allen second. But then last night, Allen gets 27 first place votes and Lamar Jackson gets 23. That difference is the smallest since 2003 when Peyton Manning and Steve McNair were co-MVPs. So again, Allen, the third player to win the award in a season in which he was not first-team All-Pro. The others, John Elway and the co-MVP, Steve McNair. So again, that's what I meant when I said this is wrong even if it was right. I would have voted for Josh Allen. I've been saying that for a long time. Now, let's put that aside for a moment here. I don't understand how the same people can cast a vote for Lamar Jackson as first-team All-Pro and Josh second, and then vote Josh Allen the MVP.
There were 50 voters for All-Pro. 30 of them voted for Lamar Jackson, 18 for Josh Allen. When they voted for the MVP award, some of those guys awarded the Offensive Player of the Year to Lamar, and they flipped 9 votes to Josh Allen. And that was the difference in him overtaking Lamar Jackson for the MVP, despite the fact that he was not selected first-team All-Pro, and Lamar Jackson was the first-team All-Pro quarterback. So Lamar is first-team All-Pro. Josh Allen wins MVP. And oh, by the way, for winning the MVP, Josh Allen collects a $1.5 million bonus. So he just financed his own wedding.
That's right.
MVP.
That's right. So Haley was the happiest one of the place last night. I was looking at the look on your face, Dan, as you were hearing this.
Because first team All-Pro and MVP are different awards.
They're different awards, but they're voted by the same people. So what I'm asking you is, you can see a difference between saying, well, this guy was the first team All-Pro, which would suggest he was the best quarterback in the league.
I voted for first team All-Pro.
And you voted for Josh MVP?
Yeah.
Okay, so then explain it to me. How did you differentiate those things?
The value that the player brought to their football team. The Bills were the number 2 seed. Josh had a 40 touchdown, 8 turnover, 14 sack season. The Bills didn't have an elite defense. The Bills had a very good run game, not a great run game. They didn't have elite perimeter players in any regard. The way that Josh played this season and the different style that he played brought tremendous value to their football team. Lamar's season was absolutely sensational. He was probably the best player in football this year, or Jamar Chase, or Saquon Barkley. But value and how much you impact your team, who you do it with, and who you do it against, that's where I thought Josh Allen had the upper hand.
Interesting. We disagree on this side of the table.
Did he say most valuable player for his team? Is this MVP of the league or of the Bills?
Gosh. So, I mean, I think I'm glad that we have Dan here to defend him and the people who did this, but it does feel like you're trying to split the baby. Like, you don't got the heart to say what you actually want to say. I think both of them had MVP caliber seasons, but it feels like you are trying to find some little semantics trapdoors. You can give this to him and that to them because you don't actually want to say what you really want to say.
Which is what?
Lamar Jackson had the best season this year. And maybe you could argue
but that's not the award, Don.
See, this is the semantics foolishness that we do. This is what you do. You say value. And the cool thing about value, it gives us on these shows a way to argue because you can twist it and turn it any way you want. Normally, MVP means who's the best damn dude in the league.
Yeah.
And to me, obviously, Josh Allen had an MVP caliber season. But the best damn dude in the league this year was the guy who was first-team All-Pro. He's the quarterback. And then the people who are giving Lamar Jackson Offensive Player of the Year votes, I would be offended. I'm a damn quarterback. I'm not an offensive player. How dare you consider me a player?
No, I'm 100% with Neek right here. I think when you're talking about the league, and Dan just said it, he's like, maybe Lamar was the best player in the NFL. Yeah, that's
or
what
Saquon. Or Jamar Chase.
Listen, you can always get me with Saquon, but we're never going to give it to anybody but a quarterback. But when we go from that perspective, Lamar, but I think this was a get right. I think last year, like I said last year, I didn't think Lamar got it last year. I think it should should have been flipped. Allen should have got it. But I think ultimately this is a narrative award, and there's stories to it. There's all kinds of things. Because to your point, you're like, well, he did more with less, right? It's all these different things. If you look at Lamar Jackson's year this year, it is insane. He was the best player in our game this year.
But Jeff,
that's not taken away from Josh Allen.
No,
it's just reality.
And Josh winning MVP is not taken away from Lamar Jackson. But the statement of what did you do with what you have has to be a part of the conversation. I mean, we've had a conversation for 2 weeks now about Jalen Hurts. And how come people say Jalen Hurts isn't elite or whatnot? And a lot of people point to, well, it's the best offensive line of football. He's got the best tailback in football. He's got a top 3 wide receiver duo. So what you do, how you accomplish what you do with who you're doing with has to be a part of that, because then we have no way of quantifying value.
I think the I'll give this to you and give this to you is the part that irritates me.
Right.
Go ahead.
The all-pro versus other.
Just drop them and pick who you want to pick. This is foolishness.
That's what folks did.
I think that this guy was the best here, but he was more valuable, but he was better. Stop it. Pick your guy. You wanted to give Josh Allen MVP, and he deserves it. Give it to him, and then also make him first-team All-Pro, because I think it's a little absurd.
I might have voted Josh first-team All-Pro.
You might have.
That would be my only kickback. If you voted for one guy for All-Pro and another guy for MVP, that's my issue. My issue is that's the best at that position, and then to put somebody above him that plays the same position is a problem.
But that is how the voters think. We want to give. We want to shine the light on everybody.
But is that a negative? I mean, there were 5, 6, 7 guys that you could sit here and make the case that they had seasons worthy of it. You want to celebrate those guys.
I guess part of what we love about sports is on Sunday, there's one.
Right.
On Sunday, there's going to be one.
Right.
And it feels like we're trying to give everybody this and everybody that like we're in 8th grade.
Yeah.
Or 6th grade.
That's how votes go.
Participation awards.
That's not how votes go.
No, it's not.
Trust me, Dan. That is not how elections work, Dan. But there can only be one, Dan.
No, when you're voting for a multiple of options of awards.
But I understand the giving out of multiple awards. The problem is the only ones we remember is the MVP. And so 30 years from now, when Hembo and I are writing a book about the best players of the era, we're going to count how many MVP awards that they won. And that's why, and we're going to use that, and we're going to say, well, here's an indication of how great a player he was. Lamar Jackson won 2 MVPs or 3 MVPs. And I always use this as the example. Do you know how many MVPs LeBron James has won in his 20, whatever it is, career? 4. How many times has he been the best player in the league? Come on. He's only won 4
Way more than
MVP
4
awards, but it's a narrative. So we got to give one to Russell Westbrook, and we got to give one to James Harden, and we got to give one. Back in the day, Michael Jordan won 5. They gave one to Charles, and they gave one to Malone, and they gave.
We know better than that.
It becomes a narrative award.
Haters, man.
We know better than that.
And then all these years, look, Michael Jordan was the best player in the league for 12 years.
Thank you.
And he won 5 MVPs. That's the issue.
So then give it to Patrick Mahomes every year.
Well, but Mahomes wouldn't have been in that conversation
give
this year.
it.
Yeah,
Don't use the word deserve.
Pretty valuable. He is pretty valuable.
Don't use the word deserve.
Maybe he'll get the Super Bowl MVP. In the meantime, did someone mention the name LeBron James? But the other storylines this morning are fascinating. Last night, of course, they had the NFL honors ceremony right here in New Orleans, and there was a big surprise. Josh Allen became the first player in 21 seasons to win MVP without being named first-team All-Pro. That's where so much of the controversy has come. Lamar Jackson finished first-team All-Pro. Josh Allen finished second, but then it was Allen who won the MVP. Lamar actually won nothing last night because Saquon Barkley was named the Offensive Player of the Year. Here's how close the MVP vote was. Allen got 27 first-place votes. Lamar Jackson got 23. That's the smallest difference since 2003 when Peyton Manning and Steve McNair shared the award. So that's the topic here really this morning. And Dan Orlowski, you are a voter and you understand it. You see it the way that it turned. There are many of us who look at this and say, how can you possibly, because people did, flip the vote one guy first-team All-Pro and then the other guy MVP, but you can see a logic to it.
Yeah, because I believe they're different awards. I believe the way that we talk about the award is different. The first-team All-Pro, you can make the cases, you were the best quarterback in football. And then the MVP is the value that you brought to your football team. What did you do with what you were given, and then who did you do it against? And that's why I thought Josh Allen winning MVP was the right decision. If you just take the overall football team and you say, well, Josh Allen's Bills or Lamar Jackson's Ravens or Saquon Barkley's Eagles, what player did more with what they were given the ability to do? And Josh Allen was the guy that did that. And then also who you did it against. And Josh Allen went on the road versus, or at least one of them, the number one seeds in both conferences and beat them. And those wins and how those wins happened have to be a part of that conversation. MVP has to be about the value that you bring to your team. It was last year. It is this year.
It's coward stuff.
No,
it's cowardly.
How is it cowardly?
It's cowardly to try to split the baby. Pick who you think is the best. Like the idea that we're going to.
Why do we have two different awards?
The way that you bend yourself in pretzels in order to find a way to give a little to him, a little to them. Like you think Josh Allen had a better season. So then you also think Josh Allen is the MVP and you think Josh Allen is first team All-Pro. To me, it seems kind of foolish to be like, but MVP valuable means something different. Nah, man. Like, I think that Lamar Jackson's first-team All-Pro quarterback and Lamar Jackson's MVP. I'm fine with anyone thinking that Josh Allen is the answer to that question, but it seems really unusual to me and kind of weird. How many times has it happened in history where the guy who wins MVP does not also win?
Well, the last two times it happened,
All-Pro?
John Elway.
Yeah, I have it right here. Yeah.
And Steve McNair.
When they did the
Peyton Manning.
Allen is the third player to win the award and not be first team All-Pro.
In
That's
how
exactly
many
right.
years?
John Elway and McNair.
Then
Yeah,
why
Steve
have
McNair was the co-MVP
Right.
when
They split.
when
Right.
they did that. And honestly, I actually thought this is where the MVP was going this year. I thought people were so split on who should win the award and how we quantify the award that they were going to take what's the true coward's way out and just give it to both of them. And honestly, I think what they did was by voting Lamar Jackson the all-pro first-team quarterback, they made all of us believe, at least in my estimation, that they were going to do the right thing, that it wasn't going to be about narrative. It wasn't going to be about fatigue. It was going to be about the player who did the most with what he was given individually that allowed his team to rise to a standpoint where they were competitive in their field, in their division, in their conference. And I think both quarterbacks did that. I don't have a problem with Josh Allen being MVP, right? Josh Allen coming into the season, the narrative was he didn't have a ton of pieces around him. He found a way to go out and win the AFC East, get the second seed. And I do believe the argument for him is moments. Right? The argument for him wasn't overall statistics. It wasn't historical gameplay. It was, okay, you play Kansas City on the fourth down, you put the football in your hands and you go score. And the loss to the Rams, you still score 6 touchdowns and you're the best player on the field.
Right.
And then you go beat the Detroit Lions. Those are the things that you're going to say about Josh Allen is the reason that he won it. But much like Patrick Mahomes, much like some of these great hoopers, the LeBrons, the MJs, when you start to win these awards multiple times, you're always playing against yourself and the fatigue of the voter.
Jeffrey.
Yeah, I think it was a narrative award. And I've said this before. I didn't think Lamar should have won it 2 years. I think it was a get right, right? You have get right calls in games.
So you thought Allen should have won last year and Lamar should have won this year.
I think it's a flip. And because if you look at Lamar Jackson, in any case, statistically, just look at the season that he had. And when you say he was the best quarterback in the game, he's all pro, so he's the best quarterback in the game. How is he not the best player? If the quarterback is the most important position that everybody says, and he's the best at that position, how is he not MVP? It's not about the Bills team.
You have to tell a story. That's the thing. You have to then start telling a story.
It's a narrative.
But it's also, while it's the most important position, it's also the most dependent position. And that's why we can't vote that player, that position, that award, off statistics. Lamar played over 100 more snaps than Josh Allen.
I get that.
So naturally, there would probably be an uptick in some.
So if we said the most,
let me get Shefty in. Shefty has
Lamar's numbers. We put up the numbers in the first hour.
That's what I'm saying,
up again. Lamar's numbers were better than Josh Allen.
He played 100 more snaps.
But we can still
the
use
numbers are
ratios
still
to find
better.
out.
Take a look. He accounted for essentially almost 400 more yards, 5 more touchdowns. I don't care that he played 100 more snaps. Those are still better numbers. But you can make the argument that Josh Allen was more valuable. Again, Dominic.
That's the point.
Well, I understand.
Well, the most valuable player then should have been Saquon Barkley. That's what you're saying with that conversation.
That was where I was going to go.
Yeah.
Wasn't this the year to give it to the running back?
Right.
Like,
Yes.
if there was going to be any year where a narrative fit a player better and a player that did more, that actually elevated a run game that was already great for the last 3 seasons, then this was the year to give it to the running game.
I don't strongly disagree with that one.
I actually am not. I don't necessarily agree with Dan Orlovsky's side, but if you wanted to apply it and sort of extrapolate it all the way out, the player who probably had the best season at quarterback in the NFL was Joe Burrow.
Yes.
And no one even mentioned his name for MVP because it is about other things besides just the numbers that you put up. And that would be a good way to argue for Josh Allen in this case. It wouldn't explain one of them being first-team All-Pro and the other. That's the part that bothers me. I would have voted. I have zero issue with Allen winning the award. It's the splitting who won first-team and second-team All-Pro. That's the part of it I have struggled with.
That's my particular frustration. Is it feels like you're trying to find a way that you can absolve yourself of some guilt and avoid. Like the reason why voters are selected is because they have to do the hard thing.
Yeah.
Do the hard thing.
Yeah, but
do the hard thing. So how you mark Josh Allen's name down for MVP and then look and say, oh,
but he's not the best.
He's not the best quarterback. Go ahead, but drop him. And pick your guy.
But maybe we're in a time where we're also starting to reevaluate all of this, and we haven't necessarily done it the right way. Like, I would disagree. Last year, I voted for Lamar because I honestly felt Lamar's value to his team last year, specifically in some of those big games.
Right.
That was the difference.
But wasn't Josh like fifth last year, though?
I don't know exactly what Josh was.
I think Dak, Purdy, CMC, all of those guys were in front of Josh Allen. Josh Allen is a non-conversation for last year's award.
But even though statistically he should have been.
Right, but he also threw 18 picks, and that's going to be hard for you to give him the MVP. This year, Josh Allen played MVP caliber football.
But last year has nothing to do with it.
That's what I'm saying.
Nothing to do with it.
Well, the reason last year has something to do with it is because when you're going to talk about statistics, everybody's going to point to the fact that statistically, at least on the positive side, Josh Allen had better statistics than Lamar Jackson last year.
And I would say this, there's got to be a subjective nature to voting for value, the MVP.
Yes.
If we were just going to take, well, what quarterback had the best stats, then why do we have voters? There's no need for voters. The computer could do it.
I think all of us up here understand. Like, if you vote for Josh Allen, I actually get it. Yeah. I understand it. I have no problem with Josh Allen winning the MVP because he played MVP caliber football. But there is so much of a conversation that has to go into making people feel he should get the MVP when he wasn't voted first team All-Pro. Yeah, we just have to get familiar with voters straying away from what we've known.
Because it feels like you're trying to make both guys feel good. I'm going to give you this, I'm going to give you that, as opposed to if you're the best at this, and then you're going to go ahead and be the best at that, right? Like, you're the best quarterback, you're the best player. That's that, because when you split them, it just feels that's what it felt like.
And I think, and nobody would have been upset if Josh was first team All-Pro and MVP.
Absolutely. Quick final word, Shefty.
Josh Allen, MVP. Means $1.5 million in his pocket last night. He had an incentive for $1.5 million. He just financed his wedding by winning that MVP.
I'm so glad to hear it. I heard he was struggling otherwise. Coming up.
How's it going, everybody? Villa Sports Network here. Just want to thank you guys for your support on the channel. Thank you guys for watching the video. Hope you all enjoyed it. Also want to kind of remind you to don't forget to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment on the video if you like as well. But regardless of the fact, thank you again for your support, and hope to see you on the next video.